Yes, good morning and Happy New Year to you all. This, of course, is Anthony Jordan, or some of you may know me by under Modei, Modei. Um, Coming at you with the new series starting off. I wasn't sure which one I was going to start off with, but or continue with, or I guess add on to, if you will. But I decided let me go ahead and do the one for the astrological aspects to the seasons. And first and foremost, I wanted to actually thank the ones who actually watched and viewed and liked my videos from before. The under Astro or Mode MODE underscore Astro 1, 2, 3, and 4 on YouTube right now under Man of Dark Esteem. And if you want to check those out, you can. And that's in reference to the 50-50 aspect of astrology. And right now I'm going to focus on the seasons, basically, of course, the spring, summer, autumn, winter aspects of astrology. And just to show you more than anything else that this is really something that I don't know if many people actually paid attention to for the most part. But in each season, there's always a cardinal energy, fixed energy, and mutable energy, basically, as far as that is concerned, as far as recognize what one wants to concentrate on. I said, well, what do you mean by that? Well, for one, you have to understand what is cardinal energy when it comes to astrology. In the area of Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Those are the blueprints. Those are the blueprints of the cycle, basically. And that blueprint, of course, is naturally what one looks at and follows, basically, if he or she wants to get something going and start it in the form of the beginning status or beginning factor of what they wish to do, what they wish to uplift or get started on. The fixed energy is how one manifests what was done in the blueprint. It's almost like putting things into physical form, if you will, and putting things under action and crystallizing the effect, basically making it to a point where it's a habit. It's a strong habit that that one places himself or herself in a situation that says, hey, this is how I'm going to perfect this. And the mutation, that's the way of distribution. That's the way of actually communicating what you've learned, what you perfected, what you've, courtesy of the blueprint taking place with the sign according to the season. And of course, that mutation factor is showing other people how you can do the same thing. Maybe not in the same exact way, but in a way basically that it fulfills and uplifts them as far as their journey towards fulfillment internally and or externally. And to get started, of course, I'm going to start off with spring, naturally. And the triplicity, if you will, would actually be Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. So you got one cardinal, cardinal, which is Aries. And then you have Taurus, which is a fixed energy. And you have distribution energy, that mutation, which is Gemini. Now, recognize Aries being the blueprint maker. So what makes this the blueprint? Because for one, Aries is, their motto is I am. What is it about myself during the spring that I wish to, for lack of a better phrase, concentrate when it comes to myself? Because Aries is about the self, which is why they are accused of being quote unquote selfish. Like, I am first at this, I want to be first at that, etc. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just something that Aries has to do. Aries' whole thing is, what is it about me that describes me who I am? And so by Aries being fire, it is a form of action, and therefore spirited action as well. So by that spirit factor going within that, Aries is going to express who he or she is in the form of just placing themselves in situation and see what they get out of it in the form of gain, in the form of representing themselves. And once that happens, it's like, okay, this is who I am. This is, what I do. What I do is who I am. And since Aries is all about basically doing more so than just simply talking, although they can talk a very great deal about themselves, courtesy of them being the first of the zodiac, they're going to need to focus on the self. This cannot be helped. This cannot be helped at all. Which is why a lot of people have this thing like, God, you're so selfish, you're so full of yourself. I'm sorry, that's Aries. It's not that they mean to be selfish. It's just a fact of who they are. Basically, I'm more of a person who acts upon my selfish interest, for lack of a better phrase. But this is who I am. Cannot be helped. Now, the next factor would be Taurus, basically, and their motto being I have. So, okay, so now that you recognize who you are as far as Aries is concerned, let me start collecting things on marking who I am as an individual Excuse me. So it's when it comes to Taurus, basically, Taurus says, okay, if I'm going to say who I am, I got to basically recognize, who I am by what I possess. What kind of food do I eat? Because Taurus is all about food, all about, I guess, sex and also money. So the way that they do that, the way they collect things and collect experiences of that factor, this is what they're going to do. So whatever the Tauruses possess, basically, whatever they actually, obtain, basically, this is marking who they are. This is marking what they do. And so, therefore, by it being on the symbolization of Earth, which is how all essences of astrology recognizes itself in the form of the quadruplicity, excuse me, fire, earth, air, and water. Fire, of course, commits the action. Earth energy assesses the action and basically recognizes what practical use it could be, or have it be under, if you will. And of course, air energy basically represents the communication factor that says, okay, this is how I explain who I am and what I obtain as far as myself is concerned. And the form of communication says, okay, this is how I articulate that within expressing who I am and what I have. And then, of course, the mutation of water factor represents basically the emotional factor, the internal factor, the sentimental factor that I have as far as not only who I am, but also what I have, and as far as how I basically put into practical good use, and also how I express it in the form of verbiage. So by that being the case, Taurus has had this the whole thing basically after Aries. It's like, I am, then you have I have. Let me, like I said before, let me possess what I need to possess in order to find ways, in order to show people that this is who I am, and this is how I put myself into practical good use, to where it's more direction, where it's a little bit more patience as well, basically, as far as knowing how I can be indicative of my practical wisdom and practical way of actually doing things. But Taurus also basically as a form of distribution as well. But that way of distributing, distribution is the way it shares as far as what it has in the form of share. Because when you go from selfish energy from Aries, you go to sharing energy to Taurus. Taurus has its possessive moments where it can be selfish, as well. But once again, it's one of the things where I wish to possess things because I put my possession as a part of who I am. Now, the third part of the spring factor is expression. Traveling around different groups, different formations with Gemini energy, expressing things in different ways. It says, hey, let's see how I do this. Let's see how I express this and the other about myself, because it's all about I think. And so the whole thing, I think, therefore I am, and if I think, therefore I need to possess, meaning I need to have what I think I should have. So those three models basically, but I am with Aries, then you have I have with Taurus, then you have I think with Gemini. You put those aspects together basically where I'm distributing myself in the form of communicating with others of different types, of different cultures, and different forms of set, if you will. And so therefore it's one of those things where the spring, this is what I express as far as me is concerned. Now, with the spring, you have to recognize the nature of the spring factor. You're getting out of the slumber of winter, if you will, basically out of the hibernation, if you will, of winter, where of course you distribute the aspects of preservation more than anything else with winter. But spring says it's time for me to go out and it's time for me to express who I am, and courtesy of what I learned internally, let me go ahead and express this out externally when I go out and about and express who I am, and then possess what I do and what I have. And the Gemini aspect says express, this is why I have it. So the next realm, which is summer, of course, once again you got cardinal energy coming, which is in the form of Cancer. Okay, then you have the form, the solidification of one's aspect of summer when it comes to Leo, which is a Lex, which is a fixed sign. And then after that you have Virgo. Virgo represents basically the form of analyzing what you have done, analyzing what you have and have not, if you will. Now, form of Cancer, basically, the blueprint of Cancer as far as the summer is concerned, what am I nurturing? What part of myself am I nurturing? What part of other people am I nurturing? What is it about the past that I need to remember, basically, that I need to internalize in order to find out what is sacred to me and what needs to be let go? Cancer energy basically represents preservation more than anything else. Form of preservation that says This is how I basically maintain security within myself. This is how I basically recognize the secrets within myself that are very candid in the form of, this is how I represent basically my emotionalism, the past, who I find near and dear to me, and how I can better service them. So by Cancer's motto, I feel. What is your feeling about that? And so what is your feeling about what the previous aspect of which you've gone through? Why do you have these feelings? And what is it about them that basically makes you who you are on an emotional level? And then, of course, here comes Leo, basically in the form of fire. I have to express what I feel. And by the Leo being I will, it's like the whole fact that I feel what I feel as far as being, being in that Cancer realm, I have to basically will that way in the form of action, in the form of music, festival, if you will, because Cancer is all about holding things in. Leo says, no, let that out. Let that out. You have to let that out and basically express yourself accordingly because of that. So once you express yourself and just basically show people and not to mention show yourself that, hey, I will do this and I will do that, in the form of letting people know that this is how I have to let that essence out of me. And by the Leo basically representing I will, and with representing the essence of seeding others, because cancers represent the womb, as far as a woman's womb is concerned. And by that being the case, it's like, hey, yeah, I need to basically, find, basically, like I said, express what is sacred basically with me, and don't let anybody in, because I am the crab. I have that hard shell because I have this soft internal nature that I have basically. And if I let somebody through that, I expect them to take care of that. Which is why by Leo being next basically under I will, it says, hey, I need to basically be me. I need to basically be who I am. And so therefore I need to act this out accordingly. So by that being the case, with Leos with the I will factor in the summer, they rule the sun. So their attitude is like, I need to be out and about. I need to be out and doing my thing. I need to be out doing this and this and that and the other. Because if I don't do that, I'm shutting myself down, and I'm trying to break out of that form in which Cancer energy has. So by Cancer energy having that that I feel factor, Leo says, let me show why I feel the way I feel, but through my will. So therefore it's going to shine a light on other people, as far as this, and this is why I'm going to express myself this way, and I think you should do the same thing. Always find a consistent way of expressing yourself to keep your energy flowing. Don't ever let it stop, because if it stops, it becomes blockage. It becomes a blockage situation. Now, in order also to distribute that information, Leo has acted out on it already. So therefore, Leos and basically fire signs in general are not really that great at writing things down per se. The attitude that they just simply like to act it out and you pay attention, which brings me to Virgo, the way I'm going to distribute this energy, which represents I analyze. And so what are you analyzing? By you being Virgo energy, that says I'm analyzing what I did beforehand. What I did beforehand in the form of action, as far as my will, my active will, basically in the physical form. And so therefore the passion behind me willing, my will, if you will. So also the Cancer energy is represented as I feel. Virgo is going to sit down and analyze it. And so therefore Virgo's attitude, like I mentioned before, if you making this in the last videos, when it comes to mutation, they're all about ways of distributing information. When I've been back to Gemini, Gemini distributes on like those 3 or 4 factors: face to face, over the phone, texting, emailing, that type of thing. Virgo, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to give this to you to read, or I'm going to refer a book basically that'll express to you what just happened in my I feel stage with Cancer and my I will factor of Leo. It's something that that has to be written down. So because basically sometimes after fire, when it comes to Earth basically kind of tames that fire energy to slow it down a bit. Slow down and basically find out what practical use is going on with what action you've actually what action you've done or you committed to, if you will. Because sometimes you commit actions out of pure instinct, which is very fire-like in its energy basis, if you will. And Earth Sign says, well, wait a minute, what just happened here? Let's analyze this. Let's collect this information and put it to practical wisdom, if you will. Let's see what's going on with this. So by that being the case, Virgo is a whole thing about writing down, I don't know, maybe not, well, manuscripts, if you will, journals, all kinds of letters, all kinds of forms of, wow, okay, I can sit back and I can think about this and I can really meditate on this, basically. Because Virgo's whole thing, let me distribute this information on a practical way that says, hey, let's do this. Let's basically analyze this. That way we can keep the information to where we can basically habitually use it on a regular basis. The more you habitually use it, then the more you'll be able to perfect yourselves, which is why Virgo's aspect of perfecting himself or herself is so prominent. And so therefore, I want to perfect my actions. I want to perfect the will that I've performed with Leo energy, because basically I also want to recognize why I feel I should do that. So you're kind of like bridging in Cancer with Leo energy that says, I feel it, so therefore I'm going to do it. And Virgo says, let me write down this and find out why, so that way I can perfect it, so I can feel good about what I feel and also what I've done. Even if I don't feel good about it, what I've done, and why I feel the way I feel, I can be able to analyze it and find out ways to correct myself, because Virgo is all about self-correction, which is why they can't take criticism. Can't be helped. So with that, those are the two seasons basically that I have put out there. And with that, and like I said, I'm going to place this on YouTube under Man of Dark Esteem. If you look that up, you will find me. And I'll put the proper title under it. And hopefully you enjoy it. Like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And of course, the next video I'm going to give out, or put out there, of course, naturally, will be autumn. And after that, of course, winter. And with that, just to let you know, pay attention to the seasons and pay attention to the energy when it comes to those seasons, especially when it comes to your astrological chart, which everybody should be studying. You must master yourself. I can't say that enough. Please, master yourself. You master yourself, you master your surroundings, you bridge with the right people to get things done, you prosper for yourselves and other people that are around you. Remember that. Part 2, and hopefully the last part will be coming next. Remember, autumn and then winter. That would be Libra, Scorpio, then Sagittarius, excuse me. Then after that, Capricorn, Aquarius, and then Pisces. I look forward to serving you. Peace.